Good afternoon, and welcome to part one of our three-part series on nutrition counseling for the registered dietitian. Part one, Intro to the Older Americans Act. On behalf of the National Resource Center for Nutrition and Aging, we thank you for being here today. So to start, I wanted to give you a little bit of a background on me. My name is Jocelyn Evans. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian. I am also certified in gerontological nutrition. I'm currently a consultant dietitian with the National Resource Center for Nutrition on Aging, and I have 5 years of experience working with the older adult population, both in long-term care and the community setting. So first, let's start with what is the Older Americans Act? The Older Americans Act was established in 1965 by the Administration on Aging to administer grant programs and services to support older adults. This was done as a response to the lack of community social services for older adults. The original legislation established authority for grants to states for community planning and social services, research and developmental projects, and personnel training in the field of aging. Today, the Older Americans Act is considered the major vehicle for the organization and delivery of social and nutrition services to the population and their caregivers. One of the things we often refer to when we discuss the Older Americans Act and how the services are disseminated is the Aging Network. The Aging Network is headed by the Administration on Aging. Through that, it flows to the state units on aging, to the area agencies on aging, and then down to the local service providers and the volunteers. The network includes 56 state units on aging, 622 area agencies on aging, and more than 260 Title VI Native American aging programs. From there, the network is supported by tens of thousands of service providers and volunteers. Elder Care Locator is a great resource that is powered by the Administration on Aging and the Administration for Community Living. It can be used to connect to the agencies and providers in the aging network. You can search by your zip code, and you may also speak with an informational specialist via phone, email, or chat. As you can see, there are additional resources available on the website to learn more. This can be useful to the professional, potential participant, and also to family or caregivers. So now let's discuss more about nutrition counseling. Why should nutrition counseling be considered an essential part of Older Americans Act services? As specified in the Older Americans Act, congregate and home-delivered meals are required to provide at least 1/3 of the dietary reference intakes and dietary guidelines for Americans for an older adult. But what about the other 67% for the day? That is where nutrition counseling comes in. As a dietitian, it provides the opportunity for us to educate older adults to reach 100% of their nutrition requirements for the day. We know that optimal nutrition reduces the risk of chronic disease, reduces falls, and helps your body to feel its best. On a financial standpoint, in regards to the importance of nutrition counseling, we do also know that Medicare provides reimbursement for nutrition counseling for certain diagnostic codes. These benefits are often underutilized and could represent a revenue opportunity for your community-based organizations. The next thing that's important as a registered dietitian to consider is the standards of professional practice and scope of practice. First, the standards of professional practice, or the SOPP, for the registered dietitian provide minimum competency levels of practice and performance. The SOPP can be used as a foundation for professional accountability in nutrition services. We also talk about the registered dietitian scope of practice, or the SOP. The scope of practice for the registered dietitian encompasses the range of roles, activities, and regulations within which nutrition and dietetics professionals must perform. Use both the SOP and SOPP as reference guides for work performed within the Aging Network. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is a great resource for questions regarding both the SOP and SOPP. This image was taken from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and is an example of the scope of practice for the registered dietitian. The role of the RD varies at every agency and organization. The dietitian may support many purposes within the registered dietitian scope of practice at each organization. So let's discuss some sample job duties of a registered dietitian within the Aging Network. Developing nutrition education handouts and providing the nutrition education. Conducting nutrition counseling as needed, including but not limited to conducting nutrition assessments, screenings, medical nutrition therapy, and also follow-up care. Assisting in planning and approving menus to meet nutritional requirements. Supervising meal sites. Creating nutrition newsletter content. And also conducting health promotion evidence-based classes. Some other additional examples: assisting with grant applications, participating in the promotion of nutrition services, maintaining and updating professional knowledge by participating in educational opportunities, reading professional publications, maintaining personal networks, and participating in professional organizations. Area agencies on aging throughout the nation have had great success by staffing a licensed and registered dietitian. In fact, some states require each of its AAAs to have a registered and licensed dietitian on staff for a minimum number of hours a week. As dietitians, we can advocate for our profession and think outside the box in how we can benefit and add to the mission of the Aging Network providers we serve. This concludes part 1 of our 3-part series of Quick&Rs for nutrition counseling for the RD. Next up will be part 2, best practices. You may also find this information in a PDF form on the National Resource Center for Nutrition and Aging's website. See you for part 2.